Today we have a very special Wacom webinar brought to us by our friends at Wacom Canada with concept artist, illustrator, and instructor, Devin Rosychuk. Thank you all for joining us. Most good design comes after a lot of iteration. Today we will learn from Dave how iteration in sketching and concept design can help you become a better student and improve your creative output in school. It's a very special webinar inspiring us just around the corner for back to school. Hi, Devin. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Today's webinar will be roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours with a Q&A. I will be fielding the questions. Please use the Q&A feature in Zoom to ask us your questions. The chat will move quickly with your comments and interactions. So please keep all your questions in the Q&A feature. This Zoom session will be recorded and we'll be uploading it on YouTube later. And if I'm not mistaken, this session is also being live streamed through Facebook Live right now. It is back to school season. We have some awesome promotions. In Canada, we have our Wacom One on sale for $30 off. Special back to school. Please head over to our Wacom e-store in Canada. We'll drop the chat the link so you can check it out. And next week, we have the second webinar with Devin, and he will talk to us about portrait painting. So stay tuned on August 18 for that. And also visit our website to find out more about amazing back to school promotions that we have in Canada and elsewhere. We're better together working with Wacom. If you check the chat, you will find the link for that. And if you haven't already, please follow us at Wacom Canada at Wacom on Instagram. We have a brand new community. So please help us grow our Canadian community by hashtagging all your artwork, Wacom Canada. That's it for me. I'm gonna stop right here so that we can chat with Devin. We see you. How's it going, Devin?
Good. I'm good. I'm excited, a little nervous, but I recognize some of the names showing up in the chat. So that's comforting. It's good. So do you want me to talk about a little bit about my background, myself?
Yes, I would love for you to introduce yourself for those of us who aren't familiar. We do see your friends here in the chat. Let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. And yes, Devin, please tell us a little bit about your background and what you're going to talk about today.
Right, sure. So I'm as mentioned earlier, I'm a concept artist and designer. I work primarily in the animation industry in Vancouver, as well as I do freelance illustration. I'm a teacher, and then also I stream on Twitch where I show a bit of my process in real time and have people able to interact with me that way. I'm illustration on the side. Today, I'm going to be doing a bit of a lesson that I wish I got when I was a student, to do with how I go about obviously character design. But before that, I wanted to touch base quickly on the process of learning. And I know that sounds weird, but like how to learn on your own and study a topic in design and drawing, and how I go about that kind of process. So I'll be explaining that more in just a bit.
Thank you. No, I think it's very interesting. I have heard that iteration in design school is, one of the ways, one of the techniques, but I'm interested in hearing your approach. It is back to school season. We're starting another semester, still in the middle of a pandemic. A lot of us doing this from home, not going to in-person school. So all these challenges, we're just trying to navigate as best we can. And if we can learn from your process, great. That'll be amazing. We're just trying to get inspired before school gets here.
Sure.
And everybody in the chat, let us know if you're a student, if you're a professional, and how you began learning design.
Awesome. So should I get started with the kind of first little bit here, or?
Yes, please start sharing your screen and begin your lesson.
Awesome. Cool. Let's get going. All right. So first, I mentioned about how I learn. And what I mean by that is how I practice anything. And I'll just draw like little simple diagrams here. How I practice anything, drawing or design wise, to get better at any sort of topic. So one thing I do is, let's just use this. So first is like my imagination. This is like the first drawing I do. Imagine this is one drawing. So this is one drawing I'll do from imagination. And usually these are, with iteration in mind. And what iteration is drawing many images in sequence, trying to build off the previous one. So I'll do a bunch of that through imagination. And then this is for studying and getting better at fundamentals generally. So then if it's like a portrait, I'll then do one from reference. I'll just write ref. Difficult to write for some reason. Okay.
And Devin, when you're doing all of this, is this in analog, or are you doing this digitally?
Both. I like to do this traditionally and digitally. Of course, digitally, I use my Wacom, and it can be a faster process than traditional, but it's nice to do both, I think.
Yeah.
So then from here, it's like the imagination one. I'll get one that would be close to what I did in imagination. And then in the same drawing session, this is good to do it in like one session. I'll do it again. So I'll do like imagination again. And then the idea is that like, it improves to be more, these are just really rough, but like the idea is that you get better, and you'll notice that like you kind of brushed off some of the cobwebs, so to speak. So I like to do this as often as I can, looking at something, drawing it from imagination, then looking at reference and trying to draw it accurately, or focusing on what you want to do. Could be pushing the shapes or whatever. It doesn't have to be a copy. And then you go to imagination again. The second little trick that I've picked up over the last little while is I always get this question about style. And I've told some of my students this before, and some of them may be in here, and they can attest to this, but like people will always ask, especially artists starting out, how do I make or find a unique style? And really, there is no like deciding to draw in a stylized way. I think you kind of are an amalgam of all the artists and everyone you take through influences, whether that be through media, fashion, anything. So that's where your style comes from. It's like you're the filter, filtering all of these ideas, and you just draw how you would normally draw how you like to draw, and eventually the more confident you get with your fundamentals, the more that will turn into a style. So trying to actively be like invent this new style, like as if you look at someone who's got a really unique style, they often, well, they never probably just came across it by trying it like first right off the bat. So for instance, what I'll do in a life sense, like when I'm out like at a coffee shop or something, mixing my words here. So I will say find an artist book, like a book that an artist releases, or like maybe it's one of your favorite books from a Pixar or Disney movie, and I will have that as my reference, or one of them rather, and then I'll add that to the subject. So if you're at home, like you can obviously do this digitally or whatever with your sketchbook. I like to look at people in real life and do this, but you can do it from like a photograph, of anything, or from real life. And so these are your safety nets, your references. So one thing, as a side, a lot of artists, when they're starting out, myself included, will think that using reference is like an admission of fault or failure, and it's just not the case. Like every artist, no matter if they're drawing, from their imagination or whatever, has always and uses reference all the time, even if you don't see it. They've built up a visual library of things they can pull on throughout their design. So these are things to keep you safe. Like if you fall, you have a harness when you're climbing or something. So this is like your safety net. And from this, I like to imagine, this is like when I'm at a coffee shop or something, I'll just have the art book and my coffee and be very chill. And I'll look at, I will look at a person or whatever, a cup or whatever, and try and draw it as if I'm this style. So if it's very unique style or what have you, and you're trying to make your own style, this is where you first try and chameleon or emulate someone else. And I think when you do that, you'll go to your own personal drawings from imagination, and it will influence that. So that's where style comes from. It's like, so this is the new thing, or the new based off the other. But so style comes from working through problem solving, and it's a good way to study how other artists have solved these design problems. If you're like, how does this person draw a face, or why do their buildings look like this, then you can try and look at a building in real life or a person in real life and try and match their design language. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a really good practice, I think, in order to improve your confidence. And also it's good to just draw in different ways than you're normally used to. And you will notice it really improve your style, so to speak. So once you do this from like a Frankenstein, like from dozens of artists, really, like I follow and look at so many artists all the time, and sometimes I'll study their work because I'm really interested in how they arrived at those answers. It's basically like problem solving, right? It is design and drawing. So I'm trying to figure out how they problem solve their own work. So you do that with dozens of artists, and eventually you will be the filter. Like this is you. Woo. So all this goes into your brain, and then out comes your style. So that is just a thing I think I wish I found out earlier, is how to study and look at like other people's artwork. Sorry, were you going to say something, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you if this is the equivalent, like you're saying it's an amalgamation of things that you like. It's not the same thing as fan art, is it? Or would you consider fan art an additional way to study your master's?
Yeah. So fan art is another way. Yeah, fan art is another way to, like, I don't personally do it, but it is definitely a viable way to like uh to gain the same kind of knowledge. What I'm explaining here is like trying to make your own kind of original thing, um, with the inspiration. So I feel like filtering it through your own experiences and your own view on the world, rather than trying to just make like Spider-Man in the style of Todd McFarlane or something. Like that way you're going to get better. However, it's an additional thing. I just think this is something that I've personally found really helpful. Fan art is great if you enjoy doing that. Basically, when it comes down to it, the trick with drawing is just do it a lot, and you will get better. And draw what you want to draw, and you will get better at it. There's no shortcut, basically. So if you like drawing fan art, you're going to get better at drawing the things you're drawing. So it's just something to keep in mind. Yeah. Are there any questions or anything before I jump into the meat and potatoes of creature design, which is what the main...
No, I think that little piece of information on, you know, the amalgamation between your tastes and your influences, in order to develop style is quite clear. We can move on. If anybody has any questions from Devin, I remind you, please use the Q&A. I'd love to pick his brain for you. So please use the Q&A section and I will ask him anything you want. You can continue.
Yeah, feel free to ask them as they come in. I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so my plan today was to draw a bit of a creature in the style that you guys may have seen in the advertisement. So this was just a bit of exploration I did to show kind of where we're gonna go. And I'm gonna draw a kind of a plant-like beast today, sort of like this. But I don't want to use these. I'm going to start fresh. So initially I started with some brainstorming keywords, and this is not like this was not invented by me, but it's something like mind maps, or however, you probably did them in high school or that stuff like that. Anything where you're doing word association right off the bat, I think helps you get like a groundwork for where your design is going to go. So since I'm blue sky design right now, which is whatever I want, within reason, I just sort of started putting some things I like to draw, like plants, trees. I like kind of a theater mask influence. I like kind of weird creatures, lizards, hulking kind of ape-like things, just typical fantasy stuff. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get going. Actually, a question for you, Elizabeth.
Go for it.
Do you mind if I play some very chill music in the background? It's just weird for me to talk in complete silence.
We don't mind.
No? Okay.
No.
It's just the chill hop YouTube, everyone probably who studies is aware of that.
I I like complete silence because I almost never work in complete silence, but I also
Okay.
have ADHD, so I have a lot of noise in my own brain. But we would love to hear some chill music. Go for it. And
Yeah,
I have some questions for you. So while you
sure. Yeah, let's
cue up your music,
shoot.
oh my God, here's my ADHD squad. Yes, guys, we need a squad. We need a badge. Okay, Zoe Mayer is asking, what are some of your favorite written resources regarding inspiration, learning art, etc.?
Oh, you mean just like
Maybe
art
books,
art books?
written resources, written resources. So not so much visual, but like maybe she means like instructional. What did you mean, Zoe? Elaborate on the chat. Books or articles? That's what she says. Books or articles. Do you have
Okay.
any favorite authors or any blogs that you enjoy?
Right off the bat, I think a really
It's a little loud.
Yeah, I'm turning it down. Right off the bat, I think the book The Skillful Huntsman is a great introduction if you like this process of design. And it's an older book now, but I'm not sure how to Skillful Huntsman. You'll find it. Spelling is not my thing, but it's a book that these students in Art Center did, where they reimagined a old fairy tale in a sci-fi way, which I think is really cool. And it goes through all of their design process, and it's got a pretty good broad range of concept art. Other than that,
guys, I'm gonna put it in the chat for everybody. I found it. It's on Amazon. I don't know where you can get it for free, but there it is.
Other than that, there's a blog that I think is really useful called Muddy Colors, and it's a bunch of art directors, and I'll write it here so you can see. I think it's American spelling for colors. And they go through all sorts of inspirational blog posts about their own work, and yeah, it's just a really good place to see where, you know, the upper echelon of pros are posting and how they think through their own work. 'Cause sometimes they break down paintings they've done for all sorts of clients and stuff like that. Other than that, yeah, I'll have to think more maybe, but for life drawing and drawing the figure and people, which is a really strong thing you need to have, a foundation you need to have. I like Andrew Loomis. You can do any book by him, but he's got a few. He's an old school life drawing instructor, illustrator. I believe he taught some of the golden era illustrators how to do their anatomy. And he's got a book called Figure Drawing for All It's Worth, I think. And then another one, Illustration something or other. If you look up Andrew Loomis on Amazon, it's very common. So those ones I definitely recommend. There's so many books. Yeah.
No, thank you. That's wonderful. We always get that question a lot. So I should start a blog
I understand.
And have like a list of references.
Yeah.
Tina Siemens is saying, when you're using your Wacom, do you use pen or mouse? Which do you think works better?
Oh yeah, I use a pen all the time. Yeah. I used to try and draw with the mouse for fun, but I think it's obviously easier to use, like, especially a screen tablet like I am now. The Wacom 22 is really nice. Or the one I've got over here is the 16. I just think nothing quite compares to drawing on a tablet with a pen.
Also, Tina, if you are working, if you're practicing drawing for many hours at a time, working with a stylus would just be a lot kinder to your wrist and prevent issues in carpal tunnel in the future. So that's another reason to consider switching to a stylus. Because once you're doing this professionally, you're going to be doing it for 8 hours a day. Yep, and a mouse can feel like a brick after a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some really great artists who have made amazing paintings with just a mouse. Like Craig Mullins comes to mind, who is a really old school designer, and he started with Photoshop 1 and used a mouse, and yeah, like his paintings are great, but he would probably tell you that carpal tunnel is not fun. I personally have like repetitive stress injuries that I'm dealing with, so as ergonomic and good on my hands as I can make my process, that is great for me.
And if you aren't ready to invest in a display, you can always start with a tablet, much more affordable. And you'll know really quickly whether it's for you or not. So we have another question, sure. Devin, what would you say is one of your biggest inspirations?
In general, I really like, if I'm being completely honest, I really like contemporary horror movies. I think a lot of them were having a resurgence of like fantastic sci-fi and horror, and I tend to draw in that creepier vein. So if you don't know the film company A24, I highly recommend watching literally any one of their films. Not all of them are horror either, but
company A24.
Yeah, A24, like this. It's a film house, production house, and they're amazing. I think a lot of the best films in the last 10 years have come from them. So,
well, since you're so big into creatures, what are some of the creature designs that have influenced your own?
That's a good question. I like the creatures themselves. Okay, I like things by Guillermo del Toro. His movies have a great sense of design, particularly Pan's Labyrinth. I like a lot.
Did you watch, what was it? The Weight of Water or?
Shape of Water, yeah.
That one was beautiful.
It was really awesome. I'm always amazed when because Guillermo is an artist himself, but he gets other people to work with him on the designs. But I'm always amazed when, he can trust his designers and make something that's truly beyond the norm. I think he's a very good example of that.
I like to see what his references were. How you say you always draw your own style from your influences.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. Actually, that's a good point. I don't know what he would have looked at.
What his pool of influences was.
Yeah.
I have a really interesting questions here from an anonymous attendee. Why anonymous? Tell us your name. I like the question. It says, they feel it's a silly question, but I think it's very important. Would you say,
what was it?
It's saying, would you say it's advisable to learn to draw? I'm sorry. Would you say it's advisable to learn to do art with both hands in case a person injures one hand? Hey,
I feel like I kind of know who this person is coming from. Yeah,
that's why they're anonymous.
I don't think you need to. Just you should probably take care of your hands. And that question is, I think, directed at me because I do also sometimes draw with my left hand when I'm right-handed.
Do tell, is that something you learn in school, preparing yourself for a future?
I learned that because I am obsessed with drawing. And after I work 8 hours a day drawing for a studio, I turn off my one computer and turn on another and draw more. So eventually I needed to chill out with my right hand because it was getting injured. So I made an effort to try and draw with my left. And actually, after you get used to the clumsiness, it's still your own brain. So you're still kind of designing in the same way you could with your right hand, but it's got a kind of crude element to it. So it's kind of a fun practice, but no, I don't think it's recommended by any means.
It's a fun way.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, but
it's not really practical. Did you teach yourself to write with your left hand as well, or just draw?
Just draw. I think my left hand writing is much worse than my left hand drawing. But my right hand writing is bad too. So
well, I even know an artist who draws with his mouth. It's crazy.
Really?
Yes.
Wild.
That's due to a disability, but it's still very impressive to watch.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can see that. If you have to, then of course, don't.
It's amazing. It puts us all to shame.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have a couple of other questions, but I really like what you're doing. What is this that you're drawing?
So I'm drawing kind of like a wizard creature who lives in the forest, and he's covered in, or they're covered in plants and camouflage. And I imagine that when they're alerted, I was going to do a little diagram here. I like to do that sometimes. So maybe his little helmet gets spooked, and then over here he can hide kind of a turtle or something, or I don't know, there's all sorts of animals, maybe even a snail. Sometimes they retreat into their own little thing, and maybe he's got eyes that show through. I like a creature that kind of looks imposing, but maybe is actually kind of cute, maybe a little Miyazaki or those kinds of movies influence. Right. Yeah, so he's maybe whoop, and then can hide himself.
Love it. Well, do you have a favorite sort of set of brushes that you use to sketch when you're doing iterations to perfect your designs? Is there, or
yeah, actually, and this is really easy if you use Photoshop, which I'm assuming a lot of us will. I just use the basic dry media brush, the first one, and then what do? I don't know how to hide this, but I turn off some of the settings here, but I can't see behind the bar here. So, but yeah, it's basically just basic Photoshop brushes. Sometimes even the hard round brush. I try and not get too hung up in what brush I'm using. As long as I like drawing with it, you can do pretty much anything with any brush.
I ask you because in a lot of webinars that we have, so many people want to know if, for sketching versus finalized, if there's a better set of brushes, but you're saying no, as long as you like drawing with them, there's really no difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's yeah, it's just whatever works for me. Like I can do really rough stuff with this brush, or I can clean it up. Yeah, I try not to concern myself too much with like what the brush is. Just anything that I like, and I'll stick with it. Like I keep downloading brush packs, of course, and I've used tons of brushes from artists all over. You know, I keep finding them, but ultimately I'm really only ever using like 2 or 3, and they tend to be the default Photoshop brushes. So
Very cool.
yeah.
I have a question here.
Sure.
From Mateos. Speaking of ergonomics, as we were earlier,
Yeah.
How do you usually set up your workspace? That's a big struggle for me as I arrange and rearrange it, trying to find the ideal setup for myself. Do you have a recommendation, Devin?
Sorry, what was that last bit?
Oh, do you have a recommendation for them?
Yes. So this is actually a great question, considering I've gone to physio for a while, and had to like adjust my workstation a lot. But I think it just helps to it's a weird thing to think about. Okay, so when you're drawing, or using a computer in general, my physiotherapist told me, like, I'll move my camera down a bit. So when you're drawing, if you're moving your hands outside of your shoulders, that's where, and you're leaving it outside of your shoulder. So like here, if you're going like you're drawing over here or whatever, that's where you start to develop issues. So the ideal is having everything kind of in front of you, and taking often breaks, and not looking in one position too much, or leaning into your tablet. So think of it as, especially if you have a Cintiq, I like to have it like a drafting table. So I'm upright, and then, you know, I'll be drawing in front of myself, and then my keyboard is underneath my Cintiq. Or if you use the express keys on the Cintiq side, then perfect. I personally have a lot of like shortcuts and stuff, so I use my keyboard, but once again, it's directly below me. I think it's important to not reach over and spread yourself thin, and try to sit with good posture, because if you want to do this as a career, as I do, you'll learn quickly that you can't get away with maybe some things you could when you were in high school or younger, because doing something in the same position for at least 8 hours a day, like I do, you will hurt yourself. So another thing is, if you can get a standing desk. Standing desks are wonderful too. But basically take lots of breaks and try and keep yourself aligned in the middle, and your shoulders back, and, you know, just keep good posture. It's a lot to remember. And I often, like when I'm getting really into a drawing, I'll fall and you'll see my shoulders fall. So it's just constant reminders. Remind yourself and remind others.
Thank you.
Of course.
I think the taking a break thing is really useful.
Yeah.
No workspace setup is perfect.
No.
No chair is perfect. You're just gonna have to take some breaks. Aaron Sims asked us, this recording will be available later. Yes, it'll be available later on YouTube, Aaron. So stay tuned. And if you visit YouTube in the link that I shared earlier, I'll share it again. It'll be up there pretty soon.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. I have a question. Do you have
Yeah.
any fine art influences? As a concept artist, do any draftsmen come to mind? Modern horror is influenced by artists like, oh my God, I can't pronounce this guy. Zvyskso?
Oh, Zadislav Beksinski?
Yes, and Francetta.
Yeah.
Do you find you're influenced in the same way? I am so sorry for butchering this name.
No, his name is really hard. I had to use
Okay.
that YouTube thing where it tells you how to pronounce a Polish name because it's a hard name.
It is.
Yeah, so the question overall is, as a concept artist, do I get influences from fine artists, basically, like other?
Yes, fine art influences.
Yeah, definitely. So one of my favorite painters is Beksinski. Most of the artists that I would consider like my top influences, even though I do design, are traditional painters. So I think it's definitely important to look in all sorts of disciplines, even photography or sculpture or ceramics. If you find something that just looks cool, don't limit yourself to being like, well, I'm a concept artist, so I need to only look at concept artists. You need to look not only laterally, but like also at the next step, or whoever your influences are, who are they looking at? And that's important, I think, to keep definitely keep it broad and using all sorts of influences. So I love traditional painters and try and keep that kind of look in my work, drawing and painting. So yeah, I think that's a yes.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Let's see, we have more questions here. Thank you guys for keeping your questions coming.
Thank you. Yeah, it helps me.
Shreya says, how do you manage to add different elements in your work that contribute to a central theme or idea?
How do I manage, like, to keep the theme?
How do you manage to add different elements in your work that contribute to a central theme or idea? Different elements in your work.
Yeah, I think different elements. Like I like to juxtapose all sorts of things. Like right now I have I've given you guys like a list of where I wanted these drawings to go, what words I put together. So basically, like, as a designer, I think you will be asked to pull and design stuff that is unique and hasn't been done before. So that's the idea. You can put any two words together. You can put any two ideas or concepts together and make them synchronous with each other. Like you can make a toaster snake or a lamp spider. Like, there's things that you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, if you're going through this process of iteration and working through all of the kind of clunky or bad ideas, like with my students, I think that's one of my students, I'll have them do dozens of drawings of their character. It's based off the exact same prompt that they've written out for their character, yet you could draw the same character with the same features like 1,000 different ways. So yeah, I think there's no real limit. It's just about the more you build your design sense, the more you build your confidence, the more you can pick out and compose nice drawings and make good images and designs. Like you can design anything using any sort of prompts. I think it's definitely possible. It's just about how you filter those ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a very broad question, but I hope that helps.
Best shot, but hopefully we answered it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cal Edmondson is wondering, what is your dream project, or is there anything you would love to work on that you haven't yet?
Oh, that's a good question. Also, hi, Cal. So my dream. Okay, there's a studio called Industrial Light and Magic, and they were one of the first like VFX studios. They worked on like Jurassic Park and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. So I would love to work on a film by them. So maybe like a Star Wars film would be really cool down the line, or any sort of live action project. I think my style lends itself to that kind of stuff. Or if there's ever a an animated series that is geared towards an adult audience. Like there used to be this great animated series by the makers of the Batman animated series in the 90s. It was called Spawn. It was only had like 3 small seasons, and it was really well done, very dark, kind of like a crime drama, Sopranos-esque, but animation. And I think that's really cool when we have projects that are done with animation, the medium, but are not so much like what you kind of assume animation to be. So something along those lines would be really cool. But I'm honestly like just happy to draw and make whatever I can. So
some of your friends here feel like you would love working on a show like Castlevania.
Yeah,
or
like something like
cool
that.
A cool gothic horror-driven animated series. Gannon Andrews is saying.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think so. Or for a Guillermo del Toro movie, you just said you'd love their.
Oh yeah, he would be. Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah. Shoot for the stars. Why not? I'd love to work for him.
Always shoot for the stars. Always. Let's see. I like this question. I saw it earlier. Michael Tom. One may say that our hands are the most essential tools in creating art. Are there any things we can do to take better care of our hands so that they may be in good health in the long term?
Yeah, take lots of breaks, as I mentioned earlier. Have the best ergonomic setup you can for your drawing needs, and yeah, live a life outside of drawing. It's hard for me to even comprehend that, because I obsess over drawing and painting, but you need to just, for your own mental health and your hand health, you need to go outside and meet friends and do nothing art related for one day at least a week. Yeah, so just take care of yourself. If you happen to feel like you have some kind of difficulty flaring up, or you notice something in your hand is tingly, do not just ignore it. I've heard horror stories of people having to quit art completely because of nerve damage and just excessive use. So make sure you are listening to your body, and if it's telling you this hurts or this is bad, then adjust. And if you can and you can afford it and it's viable, see a physiotherapist. They are very helpful.
Thank you. I'm asking my colleagues here to send me a link to a blog, because we actually had a really cool artist a few years ago write a blog about the best hand exercises.
Oh, yeah.
To alleviate wrist pain. So as soon as I get that blog, I'll share it with you guys, because they're experts in this subject. I don't use the stylus that much during the day, so I don't know what to recommend, but there are some stretching movements that you can do that will help a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do certain targeted stretches as well. So definitely keep yourself limber.
People are saying to stretch your shoulders as well. Everything is connected. So just because you feel the pain in the hand, it doesn't mean that it's just the hand. It can be from your neck, your shoulders, your palate. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my particular injury, let's call it, that I'm dealing with is my neck and shoulders. So my physio is focusing on that kind of stuff. So yeah, everyone here is on the right mindset.
Going back a little bit to your process, Devin, someone's asking, do you have a specific process for creating art? Does that change when you're creating art professionally versus when you're creating art casually? Is it the same process or no?
It depends. I would say this kind of drawing I'm doing right now is definitely something where I'm trying to be as academic as I can, but a lot of the time I will change it up and experiment or draw what I would like to say straight ahead, so without like construction practice, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess it really varies, but I try to when I'm drawing, because I have my repetitive stress injuries and stuff, I try not to draw and waste my time, which is, it's not a waste, but like be as deliberate with my drawings however I choose to, just so my drawing time that I have after work for myself or whatever is well spent.
I imagine your professional process is a lot more rushed.
Yeah, like, yes. Right now I'm drawing pretty and clean, but like for the show I'm on or whatever right now, like I'll be drawing a lot more chaotically and erasing and painting over things and sending it off. So yeah, it's a lot more.
Also, when you're doing it professionally, your reference pool is chosen for you, isn't it? Or do you always also have some leeway there?
Yeah. So I mean, you're generally drawing as part of an established style, and then from there you can maybe gather some other references. But you're trying to hit something that already that has already been established. You're not really finding the style, so you're mostly just like, how do I transfer this object or character or environment that they want into the style of the show or what have you.
I have a comment / question. It's a comment, but I'm gonna turn it into a question.
Sure.
From Menga. They're saying, I'm more of a structural and one right way. What? Hold on. It's worded differently. I am more of a structural learner, but I know it's different with art and getting your own style, but I can't really break out of this learning method. Do you have any advice for a structural learner?
Like more analytical.
Yeah, that's what they seem to be saying, that they're very structural,
Yeah.
one right kind of way person, you know, he wants to do perfect imitation. So
Oh,
they're
yeah.
wondering how to break from that style or that learning style.
Yeah. So there is no easy answer to that. It's basically just you have to like the only way to get and build habits is to try and force yourself to do it in a different force yourself to do something in a different way for, you know, several weeks or whatever at a time. And I think it's definitely good while you're doing this kind of design work to be loose and not so concerned with like the right perfect shape, because after, you know, I go through something like this, I can always draw over it and change things. You're never beholden to the first thing you ever draw. And yeah, if you think about trying to be perfect right off the bat, you're just going to you're gonna stunt yourself, I think. Like one of the best things that I ever focused on was that I got used to making mistakes and then just making another drawing. Like if there's something I don't like, I finish the idea and start again. So that kind of what we're doing right now, that kind of process of iteration, it's going to make you make that perfect drawing. I'll just do like a quick little, because I like this question. It kind of goes with what we're doing. So if I focus, so iteration is basically if I focus on drawing this perfect face and I'm erasing and going through it and like, oh, I can't get it. Like, it's so frustrating. You may end up with like in your sketchbook or on your computer, at the end, you may end up with a nice, like with one nice drawing, or maybe one drawing that you're still not like happy with or proud of. However, if you draw like a dozen faces, like if I'm here and I draw, like I fill my page with 10 different heads or whatever, and you make a bad one, great. You made a bad one, whatever, you move on to the next one. You make a slightly better one, great. You just move on to the next one, so that you keep drawing new drawings each time, rather than like fiddling with erasing and trying to get something perfect right off the bat. It's, I think, much more efficient and freeing to work this way. So like you fill a page, like I once filled a sketchbook with just heads. I must have drawn like thousands of heads and faces, and the first like 20 pages looked like, yeah, okay. And then eventually, because I had drawn and like automatically done stuff so often, I was like, okay, what if I just tried to change this thing about the face the next time? Or what if I introduce this feature? Because at some point you're gonna be comfortable drawing those kinds of faces, and you're like, okay, I want to add something now. And that's where you can like, you know, look at reference and do that imagination, reference imagination kind of process. So iteration and focusing on starting a drawing over or doing several rather than polishing one will definitely get you out of that like over reliance on needing to be perfect, because you're not going to be perfect ever at drawing. Like, you're always going to notice faults or flaws. So just focus on working through all those bad drawings. The more drawings you do, the more you like shotgun at a page with more drawings, the more likelihood you'll end up with a nice drawing.
Someone in the chat saying Marshall Vandroff made a good point about it's more important to commit to lines and do better next time than repeat the same line over and over, wasting time searching for the perfect line.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Marshall Vandroff or like Proco have some great resources on all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just keep doing it and try not to fiddle too much. And you'll start to get more confident and use, it'll get more confident and it'll take you less time to come to a better result. Yeah, these questions are really good. Good job.
Thank you guys for asking your questions, and thank you, Devin, for
of course
letting me tuck your ear out while you draw. Zoe's asking, what advice would you give to someone who would like to attend art school one day, but also has other responsibilities like school and can't practice that much?
I'm assuming this is like high school. Like, I think just drawing when you can and scheduling out the time, like even if it's only half an hour of focused drawing in one day or every 2 days, if you keep that as a consistent thing, you'll start to get better. The issue comes when you feel like you don't have enough time and you end up never practicing because you never set aside that time. So even if you feel like, well, I only have an hour, like an hour is going to get you something, of course, if you do it diligently and you practice your fundamentals while you're doing it. But yeah, I feel like you're always in life, you're always going to have other things pulling at you and prodding at you. So you just have to kind of get used to compartmentalizing your time and organizing yourself. Otherwise, you'll never finish things you want to do. So I think it's good to definitely try scheduling things out.
I also, just to add to your answer, Devin, Zoe, I have heard a lot of artists mention how important carrying a journal is, because even if it's just for 5 minutes waiting for your order at the coffee shop, or if you're at the doctor's and you have an hour to kill, you may not think of it as practice, but those 10-15 minutes practicing a sketch counts as practice. It doesn't have to be, a finished product or a full-on drawing session for you to say, I have practiced today. Sometimes just carrying a journal is really helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. I carry a sketchbook wherever I go. I'll be doodling on the bus or in the park when I'm waiting for some bus or something. So yeah, just
let's see. Ada is wondering, how do you overcome artist block, creative block, when you get one?
That's a good question. So when I first started trying to really improve my drawing abilities and get to a certain skill level, that was definitely something I had to force through. And basically it's exactly that. You just have to think about when you're drawing as like not about being inspired, because more often than not you won't be inspired. But like I still draw whether or not I feel inspired or not. It's just a it's a muscle you practice and flex, and the more you do it, the less you'll feel like you need to feel some inspiration in order to get through something. Or if you have artist block, which I think maybe I went on a little bit of a tangent. So like if I can't draw anything from my imagination and I feel like just at odds with my stuff, maybe you're at like a growth spurt and you're just not noticing, I'll tend to like study some other artists' work, go outside and draw people, just like use reference a lot. Don't try and draw from your imagination. If your imagination is shot, you just focus on the fundamentals. Like it's always something. You're never gonna like, if you want to keep getting good at what you do, you're not gonna stop practicing or learning. So I think it's best to just use those kind of meh days that you feel like you have with supplementary studies that you want to do. Like maybe you want to practice anatomy one day, or color, or perspective, and just have something achievable to do in that session. And don't make the pressure for you to make something nice looking. Just draw through it. You'll eventually lose that like blank page fear that you may have sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Do you have a favorite art piece that you've ever worked on, or a project? Someone wants to know what's your favorite thing that you've ever created, and if you could share it with us.
Recently I've been doing some paintings. I did a piece for this local magazine called Sad Magazine. And I thought the piece I did for the interior based on a poem was really nice, and it's on my website. I can pull it up if you want.
Let's see it. You're sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'll bring it down here. Or wait.
And to everybody in the chat, yes, I am shamelessly promoting the Wacom blog, but also sharing a lot of useful tips and information that you can check out. So I've dropped a few blog links in the chat. But if you have your own blog links with amazing tips on creative block, please share it with us too.
Let's see if this works. Yeah, so this is an illustration I did recently. It's based off of this poem that the words are by another person, and I was given this poem, and the idea was I had to illustrate it, and I had only these two colors overlaid each other, and that's how you get the green. So the magazine was printed with this yellow and blue, so I had to figure out a way to give myself shadow and texture. And this is a sleep paralysis monster or demon called the Batty Bat, and it's a Filipina folklore. And in here, there's some key descriptions. So I utilized some elements like that, and yeah, tried to make something spooky, I guess. Yeah. So this was something I did recently that I really liked.
I love it. It's lovely style.
Thank you. Yeah, I in the end, it kind of reminded me of like a 50s movie poster or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It looks from a different era. I really like it. It doesn't get, at a glance, it doesn't appear scary. And then you look at it and it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to make because I didn't want to put like a scary looking face, just like something that was imposing and crushing. Like this is a sleep paralysis thing, so you feel like you can't move. So I wanted it to be like this character was being like crushed by this other character.
Yeah, crushed. Somebody saying that the Swamp Thing is coming to mind.
Yeah, definitely. So the Batty Bat, the lore is that it has like tree-like features. So that's why it has that kind of back that I gave it.
Anonymous attendee is back asking, are there any networks, organizations that you recommend joining for getting work?
Getting work, networks, organizations. Depending on where you are, I feel like it's good to look up maybe drawing meetups, or like sketch clubs, just things where you can build your friend base in the industry, your social network, so to speak, because like you're gonna get your jobs and all of that based on who you know. Generally, like that is more often than not like a foot in the door. So I think it's really good to meet people, and not with like the expectation that they give you a job, but like try to network and just build your group, your community around you, and then those people will help you get work, network, and find jobs. So I think it's not necessarily like a particular website or something. I mean, you can share your work on websites and Instagram and those kinds of things. But I think it's important just to like build real human connections with people, and be friendly, and then they will just have something for you, and it will it'll all fall into place from there. Yeah, I think that answers that.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations depending on where you are. I just posted a link to one of Wacom's favorite events and groups called Lightbox Expo. It's coming.
Oh yeah, Lightbox is a great one.
It's just a great event for people to get to know each other, a lot of networking opportunities. And I know that there are people that are going to be checking portfolios, and maybe even some headhunters. So events like Lightbox, I would recommend. And through Lightbox, I also found out about another platform called Lightro. I don't know if you've heard of it, Devin, but Lightro is it's another way that artists can find commission work.
Oh, interesting. So,
yeah, it's going to launch soon, and it's just another platform that helps artists make money.
Yeah, cool. I haven't heard of that. I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, check it out. But for sure, if you haven't been to Lightbox, you should. It's going to be entirely online this year. And
Right.
Wacom is going to be there. We're going to have a great lineup of events, and we're going to be announcing some nice surprises. So
Ooh,
join us at Lightbox if you can.
definitely.
Keep your questions coming, guys. Devin's been drawing for an hour and 17 minutes. He's got a lot of stamina. We can see some of the different iterations of his original design. All of this came from that list of words that he had on top. Can you remind us of that list?
Yeah, so I have snake, plants, timid, masks, and then theater, like kind of theatrical, lizard, and then wizard because of the staff or the totem. I like gorilla or ape-like features, and then a small weapon or sword. So that was kind of more referring to this. So something like this. So some of it, it could be very weird like this, like a snake tree, or like more of an orangutan or something like, that one too.
So they all look so different, but they all have, essentially they look like the same style because they came from the same list.
Yeah, so I'm keeping myself in a parameter, but within that parameter, I can do so many different options.
I have a few more questions here. Guys, keep your questions coming. I'm going to go to Lou Papa.
Yeah.
How do you balance doing your professional work and making time for your personal work? I have trouble making time for myself to draw, and at the end of a workday, how do you stay inspired? And do you ever still push yourself to draw and create even though you're not in the mood?
Yeah, so I feel like that's also, hello, Lou. I feel like that's how, like, I answered a bit of a question earlier. Yeah, I definitely just, like, I know that, like, the most creative, fulfilling, like, stuff I'm gonna do is my own stuff. So I try to really, keep that in mind, and then at the end of the day, streaming has helped because it allows me to chat with people and show them some stuff. But just like before I relax too much or whatever, I'll like quickly do some of my own work, either at if I'm at a studio or something, I'll just like sketch a bit after work on their hardware, or just keep that flow you've got from working in the day, and just kind of keep yourself motivated. Try and just do a little bit, like just to get in the habit of like making your own personal work at the end, because it can be very draining if you have to like stop and start and like get in the zone, because like after a bit, you kind of get into a relaxed mode, and then it's like, well, I don't really want to. So I feel like I go directly into my personal work and have like an idea or a project in mind, and try and make that consistent. And the more you do that, the less you'll run into the need for inspiration. It'll just sort of become a muscle you've built up. I don't like.
Yeah. A great way to have you ever joined challenges, Devin, like Inktober or Mermaid?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I try and do Inktober every year. I mean, I don't often finish them because I'm very ambitious, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a full illustration every day, and that lasts for about 2 weeks. But definitely like Inktober or Mermaid or any of those things where other people are also doing them can definitely keep you inspired. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, a lot of people use contests and daily prompts like this because, like what you mentioned, Lou, there's an issue separating personal work from professional work. So I encourage you to join drawing challenges to have some fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody
That's
in the
also,
chat,
sorry?
is talking about fan art. You
Yeah.
spoke about fan art and how it's a great way to, learn and eventually develop your own style. But Aaron Sim is wondering, for people who do fan art in the chat, how have you dealt with copyright issues? This is one of the many things that has kept me from doing it. Devin, do you have any pointers there?
I mean, it definitely is like a legal gray area because you can do fan art, of course, but if it gets into like difficult territory when you want to sell it at a convention or something, which people do, it's sort of just becomes a per case basis. Like I don't think if you're just a regular person and you sell a few prints of your version of Spider-Man or Elsa or anything like that, like anything in the current cultural wave of stuff, I think you're going to be fine. It's if you like start capitalizing big time, then you might have an issue. Like coming from me, I just don't personally do fan art. And there's nothing, I have nothing against it. It's just not something I do much. I much prefer to draw like my own weird stuff, and here and there I'll like draw my idea of Spider-Man, but it might look a little more like this weird Spider-Man. But yeah, I think you're mostly fine to practice fan art unless you're monetizing it big time, I guess.
So yeah, I manage the Wacom community channel on social media, and fan art is very popular and something that I share a lot. We're not sharing it for profit or using it in an advertising campaign. It is simply to showcase what our community is doing and how they're learning and using our tools.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of articles out there on how to get permission to sell fan art. There are ways. I mean, anybody who's ever been to a Comic-Con artist alley knows that fan art is widely sold.
Yeah.
And there are ways to get permission, but I'm not an expert, and maybe we should get a subject matter expert on the subject so they can come and explain it in a webinar, because I'm curious too, how does somebody actually do that without getting
that's something I'm interested as well. It's not my wheelhouse, but yeah, I think hopefully my answer was helpful in some way.
Yes, do it for practice, guys. If you're gonna make money, stick to your original characters. But Peter from my team and Patricio, put that in the notes that we may benefit from a webinar regarding this subject, because it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Devin, we're curious to know what you're thinking while you're drawing, what you're currently when you're working on something. How are you making decisions, and why are you making these decisions?
Yeah, I guess I'm just constantly going over the prompt that I've given myself, and to make sure the attitude of the character is there, and that I'm consistently trying to bring in as many of these prompts or these options into into the design. So it's mostly just like a checklist I have. If you're looking for like more how I do that, I think it's just
because right now you're not thinking about a story, you're not thinking about a layout, you're just thinking about idea development and character development, right? You're not thinking about how will this fit into a layout. That's not in your mind right now?
I'm thinking like how, because I designed this character as if it could be maybe for animation or possibly a game, but like not really, like this isn't like something I would say is like a live action character. I'm trying to do it more like stylized, cartoony. So yeah, I guess I'm thinking like with each pose, how the story of the character is coming through. Like maybe like right here I have the face like inquisitively looking, and I wanted them to be like kind of like non-aggressive in a way. Like this is not like an evil character. It might scare people off, but it's more like like inquisitive. So it's kind of, I'm trying to show a story moment. Yeah. So yeah, there is that. Like I'm having him, or this character, this person, this creature, look around and like explore their environment. And maybe like one of them, like I have in the other one, I'll think about like what, like something they could be doing, like, oh, they're casting a spell and just like looking very interested in it, and I'll do like little notes to keep it in mind. But or like how this character's head slithers back in, so I'll keep the mechanisms in there. Because it's like all in my head and it has no real end goal. It's just sort of like what is fun and what is interesting to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For everyone in the chat, I have shared Devin's Twitch channel and Instagram channel on the chat for you guys to follow Devin. He does what he's doing here. He does it on his Twitch channel often. He's very passionate about sharing his knowledge and helping young artists. So please follow him on Twitch and on Instagram to continue to learn from Devin, and as he continues to grow his community.
For sure, yeah, I'd love it.
When is your, do you have a set Twitch stream schedule?
Not really set, just evenings and weekends generally. I try to do like a few streams during the week, and then longer ones during the day on a weekend day. So yeah, look out for that.
If you guys have any more questions for Devin, we have a few more minutes left. Devin has done 3 iterations of a design based on the list of prompts, the list of elements. It's a great exercise.
Yeah, you can do this. Like if I didn't have to think and talk at the same time, I could maybe get 4 or 5 out. But it's a process. Do
you like drawing against a texture the way you're doing it here instead of just a white canvas?
I think it's fun. It makes me kind of feel like it's in a sketchbook, and I think it's appealing for people looking, and it doesn't look so bright. So
yeah, it does help. Where did you get that? Is that something that comes on Photoshop, or that's
no? I just Googled paper texture and put it there. Very quick.
Do you always sketch in like dark ink? I've seen some artists also do it sometimes in like pale blue or something until they decide on
if I'm doing like a really complicated design that would require many passes, I'd probably start with like drawing in red or something, and it would be much more loose, and then like this next stage would be for the refinement. So right now, like I have a pretty good grasp on what I'm doing, so I don't really feel like I need to do that. But yeah, it depends. I like to draw with color sometimes. Yeah, nothing against that for sure.
So it looks like we have a lot of your friends here who are already enjoying your stream.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining Devin on the Wacom webinar. We have a second webinar with Devin on the 18th.
Yeah, next week.
Talk a little bit about what you're gonna do there. This is all about iteration and sketching, but next week is gonna be about oil.
Yes. Next week is about like how I go about portrait painting from a reference and making a stylized representation of what my reference is, not being so beholden to the reference, but using it to make something new and more exaggerated. So yeah, it's focusing on stylization mostly.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
We have some friends from Vancouver.
Oh yeah, I can't see the chat right now. Maybe I should pull it up. I don't know what they're saying.
I'm looking at it for you. You have some friends here. I think some of your students are here as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, from what's the name of your university?
Emily Carr.
Yeah, I think they're all here. Well, I'm just south of you guys. Wacom North America is based out of Portland, Oregon. So we're not too far.
Yeah.
The tree one, the one on the third one you made, kind of looks like something of a Guillermo del Toro movie, for sure.
Yeah. I was thinking that, and like Spirited Away, Miyazaki. I like those.
Yeah, for sure. So as you know, we're talking to a lot of students. We're going to be sharing this stream with a lot of students. Speaking about drawing digitally, I know that you're using Photoshop. We've been watching you draw in Photoshop a lot. Let's say that, is there an alternative to Photoshop that you would recommend to students? Students usually don't have a lot of money. Photoshop can be quite expensive. Is there another software that you recommend?
Yeah, I think some good free ones are out there. If you look up like Photoshop alternatives free, one that comes to mind is GIMP, G-I-M-P, and that one I think is pretty good. I think there's also some that are just one-time purchases. Clip Studio Paint I think is very good. I've been told to try it myself.
Yes, it's very good. We are very good friends and very big fans of Clip Studio. So much so that we bundle it with our product. So when you buy Wacom One, it comes with Clip Studio. So we also recommend Clip Studio, and it's more affordable than Photoshop. Very similar, not quite the same, but very similar.
Yeah, very similar. I've heard the brushes that it comes with are nicer than Photoshop, so I should give it a shot.
Well, it was designed for for sketching and painting at heart.
Yeah.
That's what it was designed for. Photoshop evolved to do that. Also, the chat is telling us that Krita is free.
Oh yeah.
Clip Studio Paint, big fans of Clip Studio Paint for sure. There's also Sketchbook Pro.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's good. So there's a ton of them. And has anybody here in the chat tried Magma Studio, the collaborative drawing platform? You can draw online with your friends.
Oh, I've used that on my stream actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've done streams where I've drawn with people in my chat on Magma. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna drop it here in the chat for you guys to check it out. It's called Magma Studio. And if you ever want to have a drawing session with your friends across the globe, it's a great way to have fun drawing together on a collaborative canvas. Are you going to be coming to Lightbox, Devin? Are we going to be seeing you there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to. It's all online, right?
It's all online.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to.
I want to remind everybody who's joining us from Canada, if you don't have a Wacom product and you're looking for one during this back to school season, you can get $30 off our Wacom One on the Canada e-store. Wacom One is our most affordable screen display. Not quite a Cintiq, but almost a Cintiq, and it's one of our best-selling products.
I've seen very good things from the Wacom One, so I've heard it's like a very good alternative.
We built it with students in mind. We took off some of the, super pro features that come in the Cintiq to make the display more affordable and just more appropriate for student use. Yeah. Not just students, but anybody, not needing the full set of functions in a Cintiq. So it does come with a different pen. It doesn't have the Wacom Pro pen, but it has an outstanding pen. And it has a lot of the Cintiq features without the price tag. I'm gonna leave a link here on our chat if you wanna check it out. Highly recommended for students. And if you don't want to draw on screen, you're not ready to invest in that, I highly recommend Intuos or One by Wacom. Which one are you using right now, Devin?
Currently, I'm using the Cintiq 22 HD that was provided by my work, but I also have the one that Wacom sent me, the lovely Cintiq 16.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I find it very good, and the portability is nice. So if you need to take it with you and you have a laptop, that's definitely a good reason to get one of the smaller sizes. And the screen is amazing, and the color accuracy is unmatched. So
we also now have, Wacom compatibility. I mean, not Wacom compatibility. I mean, Android compatibility. So if you only have one computer at home and you want to continue drawing with a Wacom One, now you can. It's, pretty neat if you have an Android.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That's really cool. I'll have to try
it's awesome. That. You don't need your computer to draw anymore. And I love it. Makes it everything more mobile, especially now with children working from home. Sometimes households only have one laptop. So it's nice to have that. We're nearing the end of the webinar, guys. If you have any more questions for Devin, please let us know. If not, we're going to be wrapping it up soon and letting Devin enjoy the rest of his afternoon.
Get back to my other job. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm at work, so, this is my job.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the questions, and I want to thank the students in the chat being so great.
Yeah, it's been good. Thank you, everyone. I had a great experience so far. Hope you guys are enjoying the weird little creatures I'm designing.
I am. You took those designs very different places.
Yeah, there's all sorts of options you can end up with.
You're giving me an idea for a social media contest where I give people a list of random, prompts like that, and then see what they come up with.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
People are saying goodbye. Thank you so much, Devin. Very, very informative. See you next week. Very cute designs. Aaron is excited to see you next week.
Cool, great. I'm excited to do some painting.
Yes, I will be dropping the registration and announcement for next week's webinar in a few hours on social media, so you guys can register. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank my team, Patricio for inviting me, and Peter for being in the background helping us. Any wrapping messages you want to leave us with, Devin, before we
no, I just finished my design here, and I want to thank Wacom for getting me here. It's honestly super surreal to be a part of this. I've used Wacom products my entire professional career and while I was a student, and I never looked back. So it's been awesome to work with you guys and promote this. And I hope you guys enjoyed a bit of my iterative design process here.
We sure have, and we're looking forward to seeing you talking to us about painting next week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for showing us a little bit about iteration and, really just how limitless concepts can go once we sit down and iterate with a fresh mind in mind. So thank you so much for showing us.
Of course.
And guys, I'm going to wrap it up. There's nothing left to say other than thank you so much, Devin.
Thank you.
And join us on Wacom Canada. I just dropped the link to our brand new Wacom Canada community on Instagram. Please help us grow our community in Wacom Canada. We are really trying to create a nice community for Canadian artists and Canadian talent to find us and us finding them as well. So thank you for helping us kick that off. And thank you, Devin, for inspiring us in this back to school webinar today.
Of course, thank you very much.
Without further ado, this is a wrap. Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter. Let's wrap it up.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.